and welcome everyone. Please be patient as I begin the live stream for our LinkedIn audience, which will take about 30 seconds to set up. We live in a one-click world for everything except this. All right. All right, and welcome to our LinkedIn live stream audience as well as our YouTube live stream audience and everyone here live on WebEx. My name is Stuart Creek. I am a marketing manager at Simplilearn. I'm here with Professor Soumya Sen. More about him in a moment, but this is a live look at our Cloud Computing Bootcamp from the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. We'll be talking today about cloud computing. Dr. Sen will go over his views on the field, and then we'll talk about how the boot camp helps you as the learner. We'll talk about some of the program outcomes, and Dr. Sen will also be talking about the Carlson School of Management, its reputation, and its value to you as a learner. So I'll let Dr. Sen talk more about himself, but I will just mention that he is the McKnight Presidential Fellow at the Carlson School of Management and an Associate Professor in the Faculty of Information and Design Sciences, and a noted expert and researcher in various aspects of digital systems, including cloud computing. And welcome, Dr. Sen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Stuart. Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. As Stuart mentioned, I am a professor of information and decision science at the Carlson School. My training is primarily in engineering, in computer systems and networking, telecommunication networks, and my research interests are in information technology and business analytics and data analytics. Throughout this, my career, I've been working with many companies, many of them who are heavily using cloud computing. That kind of informed our view of the program. And today I'm going to present some overview of the field as I see it from talking to CIOs and give you an update on the program and the structure of the program. So at Carlson School, one of the teaching guiding principles in our teaching is why before how. That is to talk to students about why they need to learn about a particular field or a particular topic before we talk about the hows of that area and what are the problems that we can solve. So keeping that spirit in mind, I'm going to provide a quick overview of why cloud computing is important as a career field as well as important for businesses. So why cloud? The cloud computing, as we probably all know, has immense potential in unlocking value for businesses. And in fact, McKinsey estimates that the cost savings in IT and from creating value-oriented business use cases can unleash a $1 trillion potential for Fortune 500 companies by the year 2030. And we see this already. Many of the companies that we know have been using cloud computing very effectively over the last few years. For example, Moderna, one of the companies that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, given that we are just emerging into a post-COVID world, hopefully. Moderna is one of the companies that created the mRNA-based COVID-19 vaccine. And their CEO, Stefan Bancel, had this vision of using the latest technologies in order to provide a competitive advantage to their company from the very beginning. So even before COVID-19, Moderna had always been a very technology forward-looking company. And Moderna's entire mRNA research and development facility is based in the cloud. They run the web application, a proprietary web application that they have called the Drug Design Studio, that can analyze a vast amount of data from different trials. For example, the COVID-19 trials that they did. And they use the Amazon Web Services for data warehousing and to integrate data streams from multiple trials that are going on in parallel. And that helps them to quickly do the analysis, refine their design and production cycle in order to improve their products, for example, vaccines and other drugs. And as a result of using cloud computing, Moderna was able to submit their first vaccine candidate to NIH within 42 days of the initial sequencing. And that is a really fast rate at which a company was able to find that and then create a solution just in about 1.5 months. And that was primarily, if not entirely, enabled by cloud computing. Previously, it wouldn't have been feasible to do that much of computation of the genomic sequences and integrate results from trials and get a product out within 42 days. And they have been using cloud computing even for developing cancer drugs. They are, again, doing genetic sequencing and comparing the results to develop personalized cancer drugs. So that is just one example of a company that we have been hearing about a lot in recent times that is really using cloud computing to capture market value from that $1 trillion market. Now, very quickly, I wanted to talk about the different buckets of that value. Out of the $1 trillion, the first bucket is rejuvenation of the existing IT systems and processes. And there are different components to it. For example, IT cost optimization of the application development, maintenance, and the infrastructure itself. Reducing risk by creating more resilient processes and ensuring uptime of those processes and applications. And digitization of the core operations. Now, most people would think about these as the main cost savers, like IT cost optimization, improving resiliency of your applications and processes. But notice that that is just 10% of the $1 trillion potential value that cloud computing has. Businesses can get much more value from using cloud computing to innovate, and Moderna was a great example for that. Many companies are already doing it. They are using cloud for creating growth based on analytics, integrating data from Internet of Things, enabling robotic process automation with the help of cloud computing. So innovation-driven growth is one of the big drivers for companies where they can get a lot of savings. They can obviously accelerate their product development, and they can take advantage of the hyperscalability of cloud in order to service customer segments across geographies and create more streamlined processes globally. So that's where a lot of potential is. Of course, there is a potential from rejuvenation of existing processes by taking them to the cloud, cost optimization, improving the resilience, but there is a lot of value from innovation using analytics, IoT, automation that are heavily dependent on cloud as the infrastructure. And then there is another bucket called the pioneers, and these are the companies that would be early adopters of cloud computing in order to perform experimentation with new technologies or emerging technologies like AR, VR, blockchain, 3D printing. And that value has not even been quantified because the business use cases of those technologies are yet to be realized fully. And so you can see that this is more than $1 trillion market, and that's why companies are very much interested in adopting cloud as well as hiring talent in that space. So here are some quick examples of use cases across different industry verticals. In retail, we have companies that are performing supply chain optimization, inventory optimization in the cloud using large-scale data sets that they're collecting that helps them to minimize waste in the supply chains. They can also use data from social media streams in order to better predict which products are going to succeed, what their customers want. They're doing sentiment analysis. And again, these are very large-scale data that have to be analyzed and requires computational power, that needs scalability, and that's why cloud is a natural choice for these. In healthcare, we saw example of Moderna, but there are also many other companies, more traditional hospitals, etc., that are using analytics, machine learning, natural language processing on text data, on electronic health records in order to create better treatments and more personalized treatments for patients, and then optimizing the hospital processes. In high-tech industry, we are seeing increasing adoption of cloud for enabling better customer support through chatbots, creating more using the data sets, ML and AI, in order to create better customer loyalty programs and trying to do media channel optimization. In other sectors too, like in oil and gas, we are seeing use of cloud for doing computation on the demand forecasting, supply modeling, etc. In banking, a lot of the banks are using data analytics for digital advertising, for better personalized targeting of loans, and using algorithms to inform their decisions about different products and portfolio optimization. And all of these require cloud computing as the baseline infrastructure on which these innovations are based.
Yeah, and I'd like to just interject one other aspect. We live at a very interesting time in history, because if this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, had happened just a few years earlier, there would not have been the cloud infrastructure available worldwide for us all to move to the work from home model. So it's interesting that the existence of cloud as a technology platform, as a method of interconnection, enabled that shift to happen. I was at a webinar a few days after the work from home mandate was announced in the United States, and the executive of the company that was speaking said, you know, if they had told us we needed to move to work from home, we would have told them it would take 6 months and $10 million of budget. But when it actually happened, we were able to do it in 3 days at no budget. So that's another aspect of the pervasiveness of cloud technology in all of our lives.
Exactly. The hyperscalability, the availability of these resources in a distributed environment across geographies is obviously one of the main reasons why the transition to the virtual environment, although it may not have been completely seamless, was pretty much seamless for most purposes from practical standpoint for most businesses. Thanks for sharing that. So in terms of what businesses are doing in order to take advantage of that value that cloud computing can unlock for them, there are three things. Like when I talk to CIOs of different companies, and Minneapolis has a lot of Fortune 500 companies located in it. And so they all understand that cloud computing is an industry catalyst for driving innovation, for enabling digital transformation because of the factors that we already talked about, like speed, agility, hyperscalability. And as a result, many companies are now using public cloud. Some are using a hybrid cloud model for which they have to do three things. The first is to start hiring a cloud literate workforce, those that are trained in how to use cloud computing resources, then developing a first-hand experience with the cloud, and then adopting a technology-forward mindset. And one thing I would mention is that most of these business leaders, they want a workforce, or they want to hire talent who are not only trained in the technical aspects of cloud computing, but also have that broader vision of how to use cloud computing in order to bring about innovation within the company. It's the biggest challenge, I think, for companies is to find those right people who can provide or who can fill in that gap between the technical aspects, the technical processes, and the business processes. Because when there are people in the company that can bridge that gap, that's when innovation can happen at a very fast pace. And so most of the business leaders would want us to train workforce that not only provides a very good foundation for cloud computing from a technical standpoint, but also provides, the curriculum provides enough understanding of the business aspects of cloud computing, the strategy aspects of cloud computing, so that companies can execute a well-defined strategy that has a kind of creates value across IT and businesses together. And can implement a cloud-ready operating model. And that's why we think that curriculum should reflect both the technical components, but also provide enough vision about how these technology can be used in order to drive the corporate strategy. In terms of the hiring trends, there have been many reports. Here is one from Robert Half, a hiring firm that conducted some surveys about the hiring trends in 2022. And 48% of technology leaders expect their budget for cloud computing projects will increase this year. And the roles where they are hiring are in their teams are primarily in Microsoft Azure. And you can see 60% of the respondents wanted to hire folks that are trained in Microsoft Azure to be engineers, developers, or architects, and Amazon Web Services. And of course, there's also demand for Google, but Amazon and Microsoft Azure are the primary leaders right now. And the kind of skill set that they want are folks that are trained in cloud computing, in managing cloud computing resources, security, cloud architecture. Those are the top skills that are required by IT departments. In moving on to the next slide, in terms of the trends in the job postings, here is a quick look at the year-over-year growth for Azure demand, which has been growing 58% annually since 2017, and compared to the cloud skills in general. And AWS is already a market leader, and Microsoft Azure is following them very closely. They have been seeing significant growth, and you have probably seen in the news that Microsoft was able to get some very lucrative cloud computing contracts that Amazon missed out in the recent years. And both of these cloud computing platforms have been posting, have been in very much demand, and that's why when we look at LinkedIn posts, for example, you see these are these two, Azure and Amazon Web Services are the skills that we see very frequently in those postings in terms of the kind of cloud computing skills needed. And this need is not only kind of concentrated in a few segments, it's all across the industry verticals. You can see here the trend of the cloud computing market size and how it is growing in different industry verticals between 2016 to now and projections going forward. And you can see whether it is banking, finance, or IT and telecom, or retail, or manufacturing and supply chains, energy companies, healthcare, media, government, and public sector, all of them are seeing remarkable growth in terms of the use of cloud computing as an infrastructure. So the demand is distributed across all industry verticals.
Yeah, I would like to mention one fascinating example. It's fascinating to me, which is when the pandemic hit and people started moving to non-contact ordering from restaurants, Wendy's, the American hamburger chain, was developing its mobile app for ordering. And one thing that they found was that the data they collected from mobile ordering behavior and from ordering at the drive-through window suddenly gave them insights that they didn't realize that they had into the behavior of their customers. So it's fascinating how in even an industry which we don't at all associate with technology, digital technology at least, has found that having the cloud infrastructure to be able to collect the consumer data from their customers and then being able to use that on the back end to analyze and look for trends has transformed their marketing, transformed their model of business in amazing ways. So when we talk about cloud computing, it's not just something for, as Dr. said, the technology sector. It really is transcended across all business sectors.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Stuart. And we are seeing that when we are talking to companies in this area, we are seeing that exactly that across different companies. Like we have United Health Group that is using cloud computing and in order to do analytics and all the computation. We have Mall of America, like closer to your example, which are heavily investing in infrastructure in order to gather data about users from the Wi-Fi logs, and using cloud as a way to analyze that data and drive insights in order to refine their marketing strategy, leasing strategy, etc. So it cuts across every industry vertical, the use of cloud computing, and using that as the infrastructure to drive innovation. And many of the innovation is coming through integration of data from different sources, from IoT devices, as well as from, and then doing the post-processing of the data using data analytics techniques, machine learning, AI, in order to derive those kind of insights, and then drive the business strategy based on that. So for a cloud computing career, there are certain skills that are needed. And this bootcamp is designed to provide you with those skills. For example, how to select cloud vendors and cloud service providers, how to do migration of applications, setting up APIs, configuration management of those, identity and access management, cloud migration and deployment in an effective way, managing databases. Again, we talked about large-scale data sets, so how do you manage databases in the cloud? And many other things like balancing the workloads, making sure that the system is resilient. We talked about hyperscalability, one of the features of cloud, and so how to do auto-scaling, performance testing. And in the bootcamp, as you learn about these concepts, you will also have the opportunity to have hands-on practice in a sandboxed environment, in a lab environment, so that you're able to not only learn about these things, but also execute them. So
at this point, what I'd like to do is I'd like to launch a poll here.
Yeah.
You were about to announce that.
Yeah, I was not sure if you wanted to announce that. Go ahead, Stuart.
So we'd like to know, because you're all here due to your interest in cloud computing as a career, what has prevented you from enrolling in a training program of this type or pursuing this career to date? So let me launch this poll. And if you're watching on streaming, do put in, we can use A, B, C, and D for these four into your comment section. I'll leave this open for about 30 seconds here. Just to recap, whether it's being able to find a program that covers all the skills that Sumin just mentioned, or feeling that you need more hands-on experience, or finding it difficult to just learn from pre-recorded videos on your own. Here we go. And by far the greatest number of people in the audience have said that they don't feel like they have the hands-on experience, practical exposure to be able to say to an employer that they're confident in their cloud computing skills and abilities and can demonstrate those. So let me go on and I'm going to introduce this slide and then let Soumya resume. But the Cloud Computing Bootcamp from the University of Minnesota Carlson School is a comprehensive curriculum with an industry-aligned path. So it's based on the needs of industry. It has integrated case studies and online projects that you do, as you mentioned, in a sandboxed environment, so that you're doing the work and not simply just watching someone else do it. You're also building up a project portfolio that you can take with you. You have online virtual classrooms where instructors are able to interact with you directly, where you show up for live classes every week and then do your work in between the classes on your own schedule, whatever time you have available in the rest of the week, 24/7, so that you don't have to feel that you are tied to a very rigid schedule other than the live classes themselves. So, Soumya, did you have any other observations about the overview of the program here?
No, I think that this kind of provides a very comprehensive view. As I mentioned, like the program is focused on providing the technical basics as well as a hands-on training, and then we have the master classes that we are going to talk about later to provide this connection between the technical concepts that you are learning and the high-level managerial and decision-making abilities that that are needed or are in demand from companies. So, so Stuart, would you like to tee this up, or should I go ahead?
I'll go ahead with this one because it mentions a Job Assist program, which is something that Simplilearn adds to the value of the bootcamp. You do end up with the certificate, which is the attestation that University of Minnesota Carlson School certifies that you have completed the core courses of this curriculum. You've completed all the projects, including the Capstone project, that show that you have the set of skills that the bootcamp has provided you. And then you also get Alumni Association membership for networking and career value throughout your career. You'll be able to network with other graduates of similar Carlson School programs. But we also have a Job Assist program from Simplilearn, which is part of the services. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. Soumya, if you'd like to talk about the school itself.
Yeah, sure. So the Carlson School of Management is one of the top schools in business education in the country. In executive education MBA programs, we are ranked 14th in terms of the ranking worldwide in business and economics. We are ranked 18th. We have the 10th best undergraduate program among the public schools. So some of you are probably familiar with the Carlson School and the value that the brand carries. We have top faculties and in this program. For the master classes, some of them will be offered by me, and some of them maybe I'll be joined by other faculty, and including perhaps Professor Alok Gupta, whose picture you can see in that small inset over there, who is the Associate Dean of Faculty and Research at the Carlson School. And as I mentioned, like Carlson School is really based on the philosophy of ensuring that we are providing students with a holistic understanding of both the technology and how the technology can be used in order to drive business value. And we have many other successful programs that I didn't highlight in terms of the ranking. Like we are ranked top 5 in our Management Information Systems program. We are ranked again in top 5 in our Masters in Business Analytics program, which are very closely related to this particular bootcamp. One thing I had mentioned for the slide that Stuart showed earlier, as a part of this boot camp, you are going to receive a certificate. And while the Carlson School has partnered with other online platforms such as Coursera, we do not offer any certificate for those, and not one that is signed by our leadership. As you can see here, this is a partnership between the Carlson School of Management and Simplilearn, where the certificate is issued in the name of the Carlson School. It carries the signature of Professor Ravi Bapna, the Associate Dean of Executive Education. And so this is special. It is not something, I have been involved in a lot of online program development, online MBA and specializations for Coursera. This is different from that perspective, because this carries our signature and our support, and you become a member of Carlson School alumni, which is about 55,000 strong. Just to give you a brief history, Carlson School was established in 1919, and it has been a leader in business. We have Management Information Systems department being one of the oldest in the country. We are more than 50 years old just in Information Systems department. And we have 5,000 students, 57,000 alumni, about 10% of the University of Minnesota alumni. And in terms of our faculty, we have top-notch faculty that are recruited from the top universities throughout the world, and particularly the top universities of the US. 103 tenured and tenure-track faculty, 39 full-time instruction adjunct faculty. And having the Carlson School logo and a certificate to go along with your CV will be recognized not only in the US, but worldwide.
This is where I'd like to talk about the Career Assist service that's part of the Bootcamp. The Bootcamp is a 6-month educational program. During the Bootcamp and for 6 months afterward, you receive access to Career Assist services for learners in the U.S. And this has several components. It has access to certain webinars and career events that allow you to take on additional education and training at your pace. These are free 1-hour events that we put on. There's also your curriculum that includes real-world projects across industries that go into your portfolio. And then there's the direct assist services from Talent Inc., which is the partner company that provides for you 3 things. One is access to their job portal, which gives you exclusive early access to a wide employer network, gives you job listings that are available through this job portal earlier than they are at other places, but also it allows you to apply for new jobs in a discreet and confidential manner. If you are looking to change employers, discretion is always important, because you don't want your current employer necessarily to be monitoring your job search on the other public job boards. Quick anecdote, when I started with Simplilearn a few years ago, I very early on got a call and asked if I was looking for other work at the same time, and I had to explain no, I was not, but I hadn't taken my resume down on places like Career Builder or Indeed or that type of thing. So be assured that confidentiality is really important. Resume review and rewrite service is also very important, because today, before any human sees your resume, automated systems will be looking it over, looking for keywords and other patterns, and filtering out resumes that don't fit their algorithm. So it's important to work with resume service that will format your resume and help you choose the right wording and presentation that the automated bots will be able to present you then on to the next level of human evaluation, and then that the human evaluator will be impressed with. So this is a really key part of the service. We also have one-on-one interview preparation, because once you get in front of human evaluators during the interviewing process, you want to put your best foot forward. And so we offer interview training sessions where you live work with a interview preparer and practice questions, practice techniques, get advice on your presentation style so that you can be the best you can be when you're in the actual interview. So this is a really valuable aspect of the boot camp. As I mentioned, webinars that we present give you an ongoing support in terms of keeping track of different topics in the industry, getting advice on how to get the most out of your job search. We even have technology classes, some free master classes that we offer in different technology subjects. So this is, again, another value. And the boot camp itself includes projects, sampling of which are here, where you are given a problem that you would encounter in the real workplace from the employer, industry-aligned problems that you then have to solve as part of your training. You get to do the actual work to solve the problem, build the solution, present it, and then it becomes part of your portfolio. So this is a value, a career value for the boot camp. So I'd like to mention the eligibility and prerequisites. This particular boot camp does not require a degree. Is that correct, Lumia? Oh, you're on mute. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very, I mean, many of the programs that we work with, Carlson School and other Simplilearn programs, require that you have a bachelor's degree. This one in particular does not. But you do need to be 18 years of age. We prefer that you show some work experience, but it is not a prerequisite. And you don't have a programming background requirement. So the upshot of this is that the real single prerequisite is that you be 18 years of age and have desire and aptitude for exploring cloud computing as a vocation. With that, I'm going to go to another poll. This poll is just to get a kind of a feeling for who's here today. Leave this open for about 20 seconds. Just like to get an idea of who's in our audience. And I'll share with you the result. So it's kind of a bimodal distribution. We've got about a third of our audience are folks with under 2 years of work experience, but a third of our audience are people with more than 10 years of work experience. This is a great program for both categories. It's not something that requires you to have a lot of experience to get into, but if you are experienced and want to pivot into the cloud computing world, this is a great way to do it. So I'm going to ask my colleague Matthew David, who is one of our lead instructors, executive actually with Accenture, and he is going to share with you the way that this program works in terms of your experience online. So, Matthew, I hope you are there.
I am here. So,
and here,
thank you very much for inviting me to join you today. I would argue that cloud is probably the most important skill set that anyone can learn today. It is the new foundation skill set. So I'm excited to go through this content. So let me, I'm just going to take over just for a moment and share my desktop. Okay, so I'm going to actually keep my PowerPoint out of full screen mode while I go through this, just simply because I'll be going between the PowerPoint and I want to actually step through what the actual system looks like. So let's make sure I get onto the right slide here. So we're going to go through and I'm just going to explain how you actually log into the LMS system that we use. And then I have a couple of additional slides around that. And certainly, Stuart, please jump in and provide additional content on anything that I miss. But I'm going to come in initially as a regular student. I'm actually registered for some blockchain classes right now. It's an area that I find fascinating. So I want you to see how I actually see this experience. So you come in and you log in with your credentials, and you'll get your credentials either through registering with the site, or somebody will email those to you. And oops. So when you come to the site, the first thing that you're going to actually see is a list of all the courses that you are currently active in. And you can split between inactive and active courses. And it'll give you a breakdown of the course ID, the description of the course, and then whether, most importantly, whether or not you've actually completed the actual course itself. You can come in and you can select any of these courses, and it'll give you a breakdown of the actual materials that you'll need to cover. You can actually download on the ILT download. There'll be PowerPoints, there'll be documents for you, but then also there'll be an ability for you to be able to upload your course materials so that you can actually have your materials graded by the instructor. But then if you're working on materials with other students, there's a way for you to be able to upload your materials as well. You'll be able to, because this is run in your own time, you can actually see what are the work that you should be doing right now, what is upcoming, and then again, what's important, which is completed. You do need to complete all of the materials to be able to pass a course. So it's important for you to see that you have in the completed section, everything is showing up as completed. Right now, I don't have anything showing up in that section because I haven't started it yet. One of the things that I would add, if we go back to the course materials, is that some of your classes will have a capstone class section in them. And the focus of the capstone is for you to be able to work with your other students in small groups and actually develop a project of a working solution. And so if there is a capstone, there'll be additional information on how to share the capstone information back with the instructor so that you can get graded appropriately on that. And then there are also some classes that will be live classes. If you do have a live class, you can select the live class option on the menu on the left-hand side, and it'll actually bring up a calendar and give you a date and time for when that live class session happens. Those sessions are important, and try and make those as much as you can, because it is a unique way for you to be able to interact directly with the instructor, as well as the peers in your class. So certainly please make time for those. I'm going to pause there. And Stu, is there anything that else I should be covering in the live demo of the EngageX experience?
Yeah, one other thing is that because this is a 24/7 platform, you'll be interacting with the learning management system, the EngageX platform, at times when your instructor may be, in fact, asleep. So if you're working on a project during the week, how do you get support if you run into a blocker or a question that you need help with? Are you there, Matthew?
Yeah, are you asking me that question?
Yeah, I mean, can you show how the learner can ask for support from peers, from the support staff, Simplilearn, and
Sure, if I actually have that access here. So I'm going to ask a very dumb question. Where would I actually find that, Stuart?
I can't really see your screen very well. So, but what happens is you have a community tab that allows you to ask questions from your peer group. You do have also the facility to message your instructor with questions and also to raise help tickets if you have any technical issues with the platform itself. So those things are available to you so that you're never without support as you're doing your work throughout the week.
And I think I'm just looking, Stuart. The reason why I'm not seeing that is I'm not actively enrolled in one of the classes right now. So otherwise, I would be able to show that.
Exactly. The other aspect that the LMS has is the ability to do your live projects in the sandbox environment. Because you're not enrolled in a class, I don't think you'll be able to show that as well. But when we talk about being able to do these projects, it's not something that you have to download additional software or do in a separate platform. All of it is done within this platform. And you have the ability to run a virtual machine on which you do any of the exercises that require configuration of cloud resources, coding or low code project development. All of that is within the platform itself. So anything else that you have that you'd like to add to that, Matthew?
I think that really kind of covers everything. I think that really goes through our program. Do you want me to go through the next couple slides, or is this the section you're going to take?
I think we'll take it from here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Allow me to switch over. I do want to be the presenter. Okay. So as Matthew mentioned, as you complete each course, you unlock it, you get credit for that course, and you get to unlock the next course in sequence. So let me go through this basic sequence of the courses in the bootcamp. Other than the orientation, which is just basically learning how to use the platform, what the expectations are for you, you will go through beginning AWS Cloud Fundamentals, and then designing applications and architectures in AWS. You'll then move on to the Azure Fundamentals and learning how to implement and administer the Azure environment. You'll be able to develop infrastructure solutions on Azure. And each of these is a several-week course. Again, each one has to be completed to unlock the next. You reach about the last few weeks of the program. You have a capstone project. Matthew mentioned capstones on each of these courses, and then you have an overall bootcamp capstone project, which allows or requires you, in fact, to take all of the skills that you've learned through the previous courses and turn them into the solution to a business problem, a cloud-based business problem, that you then develop a solution with a instructor mentor and produce the final project that you add to your portfolio on a permanent basis. That's one of the key things on which you will be graded and your certificate will be awarded. Along the way, you have the option to take the master classes from Carlson School faculty, Sumya, and his colleagues, as he mentioned, who will be offering those. These are electives that do not cost anything extra. You get to take them per your interest and your schedule. So that's an added value in the program. And I'm going to let Sumya address the actual master classes.
Thank you, Stuart. So as I mentioned earlier on, companies are looking for the professionals that are trained in the technical aspects, which is what Stuart was covering just before this. But also they want somebody who can connect those technologies and technical processes into the business processes and strategies. And therefore, the master classes are designed to be complementary to your learning of the technical aspects of AWS and Azure. And in these master classes, we're going to cover topics such as just the fundamental of cloud computing industry and talking about the economics of cloud computing, choosing between vendors and thinking about different aspects related to it, from lock-in to the OPEX, CAPEX costs, and being able to make those decisions based on numbers. Then talking about governance and policies in the cloud. Another masterclass will be on the cutting edge or the frontiers of technology in terms of where we see the industry going in terms of cloud computing as well as edge computing and the intersection between the two. And finally, another masterclass on cloud computing and its role in designing digital transformation strategy. So these are meant to be complementary and from the business side to provide a much more higher level understanding of the technology and the capabilities of the technology for a business. So in terms of the tools and platforms that you would be exposed to in the courses, these courses will cover the topics in Azure fundamentals and AWS fundamentals, talking about the core resources in storage, computing, networking, security, setting up governance policies for the cloud infrastructure, and also monitoring and deploying these resources, managing identities, authentication, solution backup, database application architecture, data recovery, and account management, and how to create highly scalable architecture that is so that the cloud computing resources are available, all the applications are available. And as a part of this, there are several different tools that will be covered in the boot camps. Here are just a couple of them, like Amazon EC2, cloud computing for computing platforms, AWS Lambda, a simple storage service from Amazon, again, Microsoft Azure, related services for resource management, resource manager, the AWS SNS services, and so on. So both for Microsoft Azure and Amazon Web Services, the various components related to storage, to networking, to security, governance, and how to use these for maintaining a scalable or designing a scalable infrastructure is what is going to be covered in the boot camps on the technical side of things.
And then we'd have the Capstone projects, which we've mentioned a couple of times, and the importance of the Capstone project at the end of the boot camp, again, is that it becomes something that you add to your personal portfolio, but it's also the way that Carlson School and Simplilearn gauge your level of knowledge and skill in what you've learned in the boot camp. So Capstone Project is how you demonstrate that you've absorbed and are proficient in all of the skills that we provided to you during this boot camp. It gives you your final grade, and it gives you the confidence then that you can go into the workplace in industry and handle similar challenges from your employer. So this is really valuable aspect of how we structure the boot camp. So then a quick question. Based on what you've heard today, are you interested in enrolling in this boot camp? We'll leave that open for just about another 15 seconds or so. And we'll be sharing some more information about how to enroll in just a moment. All right. Almost 85% of our audience is interested in enrolling in the boot camp, which makes this an opportune time to talk about how to do that. The process is very straightforward. You submit your application at askus@simplilearn.net. So you contact us there. We'll tell you what you need to submit as materials. We'll do some basic review and qualification for you to make sure that you have what it takes to succeed in the program. And then we will offer you admission, at which point you would engage in your payment plan. The cost of this program, this is a US-based program, mainly intended for US students. The cost is $8,000. It can be financed at $704 a month. And the classes for the next cohort start on December 2nd. So when you contact us, we will be able to share with you a bonus or a discount offer if you decide to sign up for the December 2nd cohort. As your gift for being here today at the preview, we'll be able to offer you a $500 discount off of the course fees if you decide to sign up for this next cohort. So it's a limited time offer, but to find out, you have to email us at askus@simplilearn.net. And what I'll do is put into the chat window that email address as well as the course page link. Put that in right now. So you'll be able to click on those to get to this email and to the course page. So at this point, great time for questions and answers, and the time we have available for that, I will stop sharing the screen because you don't need to look at the slide. But take some of the questions that you've put in for Sumya. One of them, Sumya, is from Emeka, who says that there's a lot of hybrid cloud environment clients using Snowflake and Azure and Teradata and the AWS system. So are these types of topics going to be covered in the courses, working how the cloud platforms work with these other environments?
So in terms of the content, I think the main focus is on AWS and Azure. So it's going to cover like Azure Blobs and AWS Redshift. And they will talk about how to set up the APIs to connect to other systems and other processes. I don't think that in this particular bootcamp they would be going into that much details about how to set it up in a hybrid environment, but I think the instructor in the live classes can provide some guidance along those lines.
Okay. Emeka also asks if the course includes coupons for taking Azure or AWS certifications from Amazon and from Microsoft. My understanding is that the coupons themselves are not included, but that the courses should be able to prepare you adequately to take those examinations from the vendors. So let's see. We have one other question from Natarshan, who asks, do you have to have any degree or diploma in order to join the course? We mentioned that in the prerequisites. You do have to have a secondary school diploma. You have to have a high school diploma. You do not have to have a bachelor's degree or post-secondary school degree. Then we have a question from Michael, who asks, most employers require 5 to 6 years of experience. How do I get employed without the required experience? So if you could send me a comment on what are the experiences for people who are fresh out of school or fresh out of a program like this.
So having a degree from a university affiliated degree is obviously useful in terms of the credentials. And as a part of the program, as you saw in the bootcamp, there would be hands-on projects and Capstone that can serve as a portfolio. If you recall the slides that I showed in terms of the hiring trends, we are seeing for AWS and Amazon a year-over-year growth in terms of those skills being in demand by employers. And so it depends on, I think the program itself will, and the degree itself will provide a platform to launch a career in that area. And with some initial experience, right, it would have the required exposure that you need to go for this other jobs that you may be more interested in. As you have more and more experience, it's true in any field that the jobs that you can go for and the salaries associated with the jobs would increase. So depending on the type of jobs you are looking at, entry-level jobs or a little bit more like a mid-level jobs, that I think the degree itself, as well as the training and the portfolio that you would have from doing the Capstone, would be useful in providing that platform to launch your career.
Okay. And I think we have a couple more questions from Aviola. One is, how is this course outline different from that of Simplilearn? I will address that. Simplilearn offers a number of training programs, including training programs in cloud computing. This particular program is oriented towards a U.S. audience, which is one of the reasons why it's priced this way. But the main difference in this program from our other programs is the participation of the Carlson School. The fact that this is a program offered by University of Minnesota Carlson School of Management. And the master classes that you receive during this boot camp are things that you will not receive in other Simplilearn only courses. So the value added and the additional insights into the industry and the additional preparation for becoming a contributor to the industry are things that you can't get from our standard Simplilearn skills training program. So Soumya said, it's one aspect of the bootcamp program is learning the skills, but the other valuable aspect of this program that makes it different is learning about why those skills are important, how those skills are applied in industry, and where the the future of the industry will take you, so that you can guide your career in that path that will take you upward into more responsibility and greater salary. So that's the main difference between this and the Simplilearn only courses. If you are outside of the United States, we have different programs available, and you can check those out on our website. Go to the same link that I put in, and if you do a little bit of browsing around our website, you'll find other programs suitable to you for non-U.S. learners. This particular program is extremely valuable, well worth it for U.S. learners. And the other question that Viola had was, for people not resident in the United States, or people who are in the third world countries, for example, Africa, that type of thing, what are chances of getting employment if you don't get a work visa to work overseas? That's an interesting question. You might be able to address. Soumya. You're on mute.
I'm not familiar with what the current requirements of the visas are because they keep changing. This is something that we can get back to you. I need to refer this to our university's administration and staff who can provide you a correct answer. I don't know off the top of my head what the visa requirements are.
Yeah, and one thing I can add though is that in today's environment, your ability to work for an organization does not always require you to be on site at that organization. So there are a number of opportunities that people have from third world countries where they can work remotely for other organizations, and those are good opportunities to look into. We do actually have partners and offices in other areas, including in Africa. So if you contact us at askus@simplylearn.net, we can give you some insights into those questions as well. And Michael's question is about salary ranges for cloud computing, and I would offer you can go to our the course page. It has some of that information for you. Soumya, do you have any insights into the kinds of salaries that cloud computing experts have?
So the salaries depend on the roles, right? Like a cloud architect will probably have an average salary of 110, whereas a cloud network engineer could have 150K. So it will be somewhere 100 to 170. And then it could be, I would think it is at least 90K for certain roles, but in general, it would be 100 to 150K baseline salary.
Yeah, and that, of course, is for U.S. employees. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask one final poll. Close out the event. Find where that is. I'll start the poll. This is a pretty straightforward question. This is how soon would you plan to enroll? If this is something that's of interest to you, and if you, based on today's presentation, think this is something for you, when do you feel that you would want to do it? Again, this is, we always say that if it's something that's going to improve your life and your career, probably worth considering doing sooner than later. So here's how people answered. And about a quarter of folks are interested in doing this immediately and maybe taking advantage of the discount offer for that next cohort. About 40% within the next 3 months. And we'd love to welcome you into the University of Minnesota learning community for the Carlson School. And with that, I want to thank Matthew David for being here and helping us through that aspect of the presentation. I want to thank Soumya Sen for being here, and sharing with us his knowledge as the Carlson School Director of the program. Thank you, Simya.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stuart.
Okay, and I want to especially thank all of the people here, both on our streaming audiences and our live WebEx audience who attended today. As I said, I hope we can welcome you into the Simplilearn learning community. And before I go, I will put into the chat window one last time this email address, askus@simplilearn.net, along with the Cloud Computing Bootcamp page link. And with that, this concludes our live preview. So have a great evening or have a great morning, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.